Lieutenant Ja Kim sat alone in her small office at the Earth Defense Force headquarters. Rain tapped against the window as she stared at the formal letter on her desk. The paper felt heavy in her hands, though it contained only a few paragraphs that would change her life forever. Lieutenant Kim, it read, you have been selected as Earth's representative for the diplomatic marriage alliance with the Terry species. Gia placed the letter down and took a deep breath. 3 months ago, the Terry ships had appeared in Earth's orbit. Unlike the violent invasions from science fiction, they came offering friendship and advanced technology. The only thing they requested was cultural integration through selective marriages. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Director Lee entered without waiting for a response. "Have you read the assignment?" he asked, his voice firm but not unkind. "Yes, sir. I have," Joe replied. "You understand how important this is. The Terry energy systems could solve our climate crisis. Their medical technology could save millions of lives." Jet nodded. "I understand my duty, sir." Director Lee's expression softened slightly. "We chose you not just for your scientific background, but because you adapt well to new situations. The survival of our species may depend on this alliance." After the director left, Jia called her parents. Her mother cried. Her father stayed silent for a long time before simply saying, "We are proud of you." 1 week later, Gia stood on the ceremonial landing pad wearing her formal blue uniform. Government officials and military personnel formed neat rows behind her. Above them, clouds parted as the Terry ship descended, a smooth oval craft that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Gia's heart pounded as the ship landed without a sound. A seam appeared in its side, widening into a doorway. 6 Terry emerged in formation. They walked with fluid grace, their bodies taller and thinner than humans. Their skin had a faint luminescence that shifted colors like oil on water. The central figure stepped forward. This was Juan, her intended match. He stood a full head taller than Gia, with broader shoulders than the others. His skin shifted between deep blue and purple tones. Director Lee stepped forward with Gia. "We welcome you and honor this historic occasion," he said, following the carefully rehearsed protocol. Juan bowed slightly. "We bring greetings and hope for our joint future," he replied, his voice resonant and clear despite speaking a language he had only recently learned. The formal reception that followed was tense. Human diplomats carefully discussed terms while avoiding any mention of the actual marriages. Jia stood silently beside Juan, aware of the curious stares from both species. Later, a staff member showed them to a private meeting room where they could speak alone. "You are uncomfortable," Juan stated once the door closed. It wasn't a question. Jia considered deflecting but decided on honesty. "Yes. Wouldn't you be if you were asked to marry a stranger from another world?" Juan's skin rippled, shifting to a warmer amber color. "That is a fair response. I too find this challenging." His directness surprised her. "Then why did you agree to it?" "The same reason you did. Duty." He moved to the window, looking out at the city skyline. "Our worlds need each other, Lieutenant Kim. My people have technology, but our resources dwindle. Your world has abundance, but lacks the means to use it wisely." Gia studied him. Up close, she could see intricate patterns beneath his skin, like circuits or veins that occasionally glowed. "Tell me something true," she said suddenly. "Not diplomatic words, but something real." Juan turned, his eyes, large and deep with horizontal pupils, studying her face. "I have spent 42 of your Earth days learning everything about human culture and biology. I know your music, your history, your conflicts. Yet standing here now, I realize I understand nothing important about you." The honesty in his words broke some of the tension. Jia found herself smiling slightly. "That works both ways. All I know about the Terry comes from briefing documents." "Then perhaps," Juan said, his skin now pulsing with gentle gold tones, "this arrangement might serve its purpose after all. True understanding between our kinds." He extended his hand. A gesture he must have learned was human custom. Jia hesitated only briefly before taking it. His skin was warmer than she expected, with a slight vibration like a purring cat. "I cannot promise to be a perfect wife," Jia said, "but I can promise to approach this with an open mind." "I ask nothing more," Juan replied, "and I offer the same." The Terry ship broke Earth's orbit with barely a tremor. Jia stood at the observation window, watching as her home planet grew smaller and smaller until it was just a blue-green marble against the black of space. A lump formed in her throat. She had trained for space travel, but nothing prepared her for the finality of watching Earth disappear from view. "The first journey away from home is always difficult," a soft voice said behind her. Jia turned to find a female Terry standing in the doorway. She was smaller than Juan, with skin that shimmered in gentle green and blue patterns. "I am Mary," the alien said, bowing slightly. "I have been assigned to help you adjust to life among us." "Thank you," Jia replied, trying to smile. "I admit I feel a bit lost." "That is understandable. Come, I will show you to your quarters." As they walked through the ship, Jia couldn't help but stare. The corridors seemed to glow from within, with no visible light sources. Doorways opened as they approached and closed silently behind them. Other Terry they passed stopped to stare at Jia with undisguised curiosity. "Our people have limited contact with humans until now," Nari explained. "You are something of a novelty." Jia's quarters were spacious, with curved walls and furnishings that seemed to grow from the floor itself. A large window showed the stars streaking by. "The bathroom facilities are through there," Nari pointed. "We have adapted them for human needs. The bed adjusts to your body temperature. If you need anything, simply speak aloud. The ship will hear you." "The ship is alive?" Jia asked, startled. Nari's skin flickered with yellow spots. A Terry laugh, Jia would later learn. "Not alive as you understand it, but aware, yes." Over the next few days, Jia explored the ship with Nari as her guide. She discovered technology that defied human understanding. Doors that recognized specific individuals, food synthesizers that created perfect meals from seemingly nothing, and gravity systems that could be adjusted for different species' comfort. "How does any of this work?" Jia asked, watching a Terry engineer repair a wall panel that sealed itself after he was done. "Our technology bonds with living matter," Nari explained. "It grows and adapts rather than being built." One evening, Jia joined Nari for a meal in what she called the Communal Nutrition Center, essentially a cafeteria. As they ate, Juan entered with several other Terry who wore formal attire. "The ship's council," Nari whispered. "They rarely eat with the crew." Jia watched as Juan noticed her and said something to his companions. He broke away and approached their table. "Lieutenant Kim," he said formally, "is your journey comfortable?" "Yes, thank you," Jia replied. "Your ship is remarkable." "I am pleased you think so." Juan hesitated, then added, "Perhaps tomorrow you would join me for a tour of the command center. As my future mate, you should understand how our vessels operate." After he left, Nari's skin had darkened to a deep purple. "That is highly unusual," she said quietly. "Outsiders are rarely permitted in command." "Is that a problem?" Jia asked. "No," Nari replied quickly. "It is an honor." Later that night, unable to sleep, Jia wandered to a smaller observation deck. To her surprise, she found Nari there, speaking urgently with another Terry. They stopped immediately when they saw her. "I'm sorry," Jia said. "I didn't mean to interrupt." "Not at all," Nari said, though her skin had flashed a brief red pattern. "This is Tai, our genetic specialist." Ta bowed stiffly. "The compatibility studies are progressing well," he said, then quickly left. "Compatibility studies?" Jia asked. Nari's color shifted uneasily. "Standard procedure for interspecies contact." Something in Nari's tone made Jia suspicious, but before she could ask more, the ship suddenly shuddered. The lights dimmed briefly. "What was that?" Jia asked. We are passing through a high-energy field, Nari explained. Nothing to worry about. The next morning, Juan himself came to escort Jia to the command center. As they walked, Jia noticed other Terry moving quickly out of their way. They seem afraid of you, she observed. Juan's skin darkened, not afraid, respectful. My family has high status among our people. The command center was unlike any bridge Jia had imagined. Instead of screens and controls, the Terry stood in shallow pools of luminescent liquid that seemed to connect directly to their bodies. This is how we communicate with the ship, Juan explained, through direct neural connection. Could a human do this? No. Your biology is incompatible with our ship systems. He paused, studying her. But there may be adaptations possible. Your species has remarkable potential. As Jia looked around the command center, she caught a glimpse of a star map showing their course. Earth was marked, along with several other points in nearby systems, but something about the map troubled her. The pattern looked less like a diplomatic route and more like a strategic deployment. The Terry homeworld took Jia's breath away as they approached. Unlike Earth's blue-green sphere, this planet shimmered with rings of purple and gold energy that encircled its surface like halos. The outer rings are our defense systems, Juan explained as they stood on the observation deck. The inner rings are energy collectors. Their landing was smooth, almost unnoticeable. Jia was escorted to her new quarters in what Nari called the joining house, a place where future couples prepared for their formal union. The building was tall and spiral-shaped, with windows that changed color based on the time of day. You will undergo final medical examinations tomorrow, Nari informed her. Then you will meet Juan's family elders. That night, Jia couldn't sleep. Something about the ship's command center map still bothered her. She slipped out of her room and found the building surprisingly empty. Using the access card Nari had given her, Jia made her way to the medical wing where her examination would take place. The doors slid open at her approach. Inside, screens glowed with soft light, displaying what looked like medical data. Jia moved closer and gasped. On one screen was her complete genetic profile, taken from the routine blood sample she had provided on the ship. But what shocked her was the adjacent screen. It showed weapon schematics, labeled Species-Specific Dispersal System. The text beneath was in Terry language, but she recognized enough symbols from her studies to understand the basic meaning. They were developing weapons targeted to human biology. Jia quickly accessed more files, her hands trembling. The Terry weren't planning a cultural exchange. They were preparing for an invasion of Earth, using the marriages as cover to study human physiology. Looking for something, a voice said from behind her. Jia spun around, her heart pounding. Juan stood in the doorway, his skin cycling through deep blues and purples. She expected guards to appear, but he was alone. Your people plan to attack Earth, she said, straightening her back. If she was going to be arrested, she would face it with dignity. Juan closed the door behind him and approached slowly. What makes you think that? These files, the weapons, my genetic profile. Jia gestured to the screens. You're using me to develop biological weapons against humans. Juan was silent for a long moment. His skin settled into a deep, steady blue, a color Jia had never seen him display before. Not all of us agree with this path, he finally said, his voice low. Jia blinked in surprise. What? The High Council has planned this for years. Earth has resources we need. Juan moved closer, lowering his voice further. But many of us believe the true alliance we publicly claim to seek would benefit both our peoples more than conquest. Jia studied his face, trying to detect any deception. Why should I believe you? Because I could have brought guards. I could have had you contained the moment you discovered this. He gestured at the screens. Instead, I came alone. How did you know I was here? I have been watching you since you arrived. Your curiosity and intelligence are why you were selected. He paused. And why I requested you specifically as my match. This revelation stunned Jia. You requested me. Yes. From all the candidates, I chose you because I needed someone who might discover the truth. His skin rippled with small flecks of gold, a sign of intense emotion. Someone who might help me stop this. Jia felt dizzy with the implications. Stop it how? What can we possibly do against your entire government? Not the entire government, Juan corrected. There is a division among our people. The traditionalists want conquest, but the younger generation, those who have studied Earth's culture and history, see another way. He touched one of the screens, and new images appeared. Terry gathering in small groups, sharing information. We call ourselves the Harmony. We believe both our species can survive without one dominating the other. Jia felt a flicker of hope, but caution tempered it. How do I know this isn't just another deception? Juan reached into his robe and removed a small disc. This contains proof of my commitment. Communication logs between resistance members. Plans we've developed to disrupt the military preparation. He held it out to her. I am trusting you with the lives of everyone involved. Jia stared at the offered disc. Taking it would mean committing to whatever dangerous path lay ahead. Refusing might mean losing Earth's only chance. If we're discovered, she asked. The penalty for treason is death, Juan said simply. Jia thought of Earth, of her family, of the billions of lives unaware of the threat hanging over them. She reached out and took the disc from Juan's hand. Then we better not get caught, she said. Jia and Juan met in secret places, maintenance corridors, gardens during off hours, and once in a system of caves beneath the city. Today they sat in Juan's private study, a room swept for listening devices each morning. The wedding ceremony is in 10 days, Juan said, his skin a tense gray-blue. Once we are joined, the next phase of the invasion plan begins. Jia studied the holographic map between them. It showed key locations throughout the Terry government complex. How many people are in the Harmony group now? 43 that I trust completely. Another 20 who sympathize but haven't committed. Juan's fingers traced a path through the map. Most work in non-military positions, but Min holds a security post, and Bin has access to the weapon development labs. Jia had met both at clandestine gatherings. Min was young for a Terry, eager but nervous. Bin was older, one of the original scientists who had developed doubts about the ethics of the biological weapons. What about Nari? Jia asked. Can we trust her? I believe so. Her brother was removed from his position for questioning the council, but I haven't approached her yet. Jia nodded. She had grown to like Nari, but caution was necessary. One wrong person could destroy everything. I've been studying the patterns of the guards, Jia said. There's a 3-minute window during shift changes when the eastern corridor to the communication hub is unwatched. Juan looked impressed. How did you learn this? I told them I wanted to understand Terry customs before the wedding. No one questions a curious bride. Jia smiled slightly. Being underestimated has its advantages. Their planning was interrupted by a soft chime. Someone was approaching. Juan quickly collapsed the holographic map as Jia grabbed a book on Terry marriage traditions from a nearby shelf. The door slid open to reveal Jun, Juan's brother, and a high-ranking military officer. His skin was a harsh, dominant red as he entered. Brother, Jun said, his eyes flicking suspiciously to Jia. The council requests your presence. I will be there shortly, Juan replied, his own skin shifting to match his brother's authoritative red. A cultural signal of equal status. Jun lingered, studying Jia. Your human seems to be adapting well. Lieutenant Kim is intelligent and respectful of our ways, Juan said carefully. Jun made a gesture that Jia had learned was somewhat dismissive. Let us hope all humans prove so tractable. After Jun left, Juan's skin faded to a worried purple. He suspects something. Jun has always been perceptive. Then we need to accelerate our timeline, Jia said. The next day, Jia attended a fitting for her wedding garments. The Terry seamstress draped her in fabrics that changed color with temperature and movement. Beautiful, Nary commented from where she watched. The union cloth symbolizes how two beings become one. When they were alone, Jia took a calculated risk. Nary, what happened to your brother? The Terry woman's skin paled in shock. Who told you about my brother? Someone who shares his concerns, Jia said carefully. Nary's colors shifted rapidly. Fear, confusion, hope. My brother believed conquest was beneath our people's dignity. He said true advancement comes through cooperation, not domination. And you? What do you believe? Nary looked around nervously before whispering. The same, but such thoughts are dangerous now. What if there were others who felt the same way? Many others. That evening, Nary joined their group. She brought with her access codes to the diplomatic communication systems, the very systems that would be used to coordinate the attack on Earth. Meanwhile, Jia played her role perfectly. She attended cultural events, learned Terry customs, and showed appropriate excitement about the upcoming ceremony. High-ranking officials who had initially been cold began to warm to her, sharing information they assumed was harmless. Your presence has calmed concerns about human compatibility, one council member told her at a formal dinner. The resistance to integration will be minimal once proper measures are applied. Jia smiled politely while her mind raced to decode the chilling implications. 3 days before the wedding, disaster struck. Min was caught downloading security protocols and arrested. The young Terry hadn't broken under questioning yet, but it was only a matter of time. We have to move now, Juan insisted during an emergency meeting in the cave system, before Min reveals everything. But we're not ready, Bin protested. The disruption program for the weapons isn't complete. Jia, who had been quiet, finally spoke. What if we don't try to stop the wedding? What if we use it? All eyes turned to her as she continued. Every high official will be there. Security will be focused on external threats, not internal ones. And as the bride, I'll have access to places others don't. Juan's skin glowed with a new color. A bright, determined gold. A bold strategy. And our only chance, Jia said, meeting his eyes. The wedding proceeds as planned, but with one major difference. What difference? Asked Nary. Jia's expression hardened with resolve. This time, Earth strikes first. The morning of the wedding arrived with 3 suns rising over the Terry capital. Jia stood still as attendants dressed her in the ceremonial garments, layers of living fabric that shifted between white and gold, responding to her emotions. You seem calm, Nary observed as she placed the final head covering over Jia's dark hair. Most brides show more nervous colors on their clothing. I've had time to prepare, Jia replied. Hidden within her elaborate sleeve was a small device, a modified Terry communication tool that Bin had reprogrammed to send a coded signal to Earth. Across the city, in his family's ancestral home, Juan was completing his own preparations. As he fastened the formal collar around his neck, his brother Jun entered. The council is pleased with your union, Jun said, inspecting Juan critically. Father would have been proud. Juan's skin flickered briefly with sadness at the mention of their late father. Would he? Or would he question why we choose domination when cooperation offers more? Jun's color darkened. Be careful, brother. Such talk raises questions about your loyalty. Perhaps loyalty means more than blind obedience, Juan replied. The great hall was filled with over 1,000 Terry elite. Circular tiers rose up from the central platform where the ceremony would take place. Light streamed through crystal domes above, casting rainbow patterns across the gathered crowd. Jia walked slowly down the central path, aware of every eye upon her. She was the first human to participate in such a ceremony, a symbol of the false alliance their leaders promised. At the far end stood Juan, his skin a formal, dignified blue. As Jia reached the platform, she could see the members of the High Council seated in the front row. Beyond them, scattered throughout the crowd, were members of the Harmony, each one prepared for their role in what would come next. The official began the ceremony, speaking of unity between worlds and shared futures. Jia smiled appropriately. while her fingers found the hidden device in her sleeve. "Before we complete the binding," Juan suddenly announced, interrupting the official, "I wish to speak." A murmur ran through the crowd. This was not part of the traditional ceremony. "I stand before you at a crucial moment in our history," Juan continued, his voice carrying through the hall. "But I cannot proceed without truth between our peoples." Jun stood up from his seat, his skin flashing warning patterns. "Brother, this is not the time. If not now, when?" Juan's skin blazed a defiant red. "I challenge the path of conquest our leaders have chosen. The human alliance offers more than what we can take by force." Chaos erupted in the hall. Some council members rose in anger, while others looked confused. Guards began moving toward the platform. Gia pressed the hidden device, sending the signal to Earth. Then she stepped forward beside Juan. "Your leaders have deceived both our peoples. The marriages were never about alliance, but about gathering biological data for weapons." "Seize them," shouted the head counselor. But as guards moved forward, many Terry in the crowd stood up. Bin blocked the main entrance. Nari and others sealed secondary doors. Members of the Harmony moved to protect Juan and Jia. "This is treason," Jun shouted. "No," responded an elderly counselor, rising slowly. "This is conscience." To everyone's surprise, he moved to stand with Juan. "I have watched in silence too long as we abandoned our principles." The hall divided into factions. Shouting filled the air as more guards arrived. But they hesitated, unsure who to obey as council members argued amongst themselves. Gia slipped away in the confusion. With access granted by her ceremonial status, she made her way to the research wing. Guards who would normally stop her were drawn to the disturbance at the Great Hall. Inside the weapons lab, Gia found what she was looking for: the central data core containing the biological weapon designs. She inserted a second device, this one programmed by Bin to corrupt the data beyond recovery. As alarms began to sound throughout the complex, Gia made her way to the communications hub where Neri was already working. Earth received the warning. Neri confirmed, her fingers moving rapidly across the control surface. "Their defense systems are activating. The invasion fleet has been exposed." And the High Council? Divided. Some call for Juan's execution. Others demand to hear him out. Nari's skin showed patterns of hope mixed with fear. It has never happened before. Such open challenge to their authority. Jia watched on the monitors as the Great Hall continued in turmoil. The Terry people, long used to following orders without question, were finally confronting the direction their leaders had taken them. When Gia returned to the Great Hall, she found Juan addressing a somewhat calmer crowd. The most aggressive council members had been contained, and others were listening. Truly listening. "We stand at a turning point," Juan was saying. "Two paths lie before us. One leads to war and destruction, the other to true partnership with Earth." As Gia joined him on the platform, he reached for her hand. His skin glowed with a color she had never seen before, one that the older Terry in the room gasped to see. "The ancient color of change," Neri whispered to Gia. "Not seen for generations." Juan looked at Gia, then back to his people. "The choice is ours to make."